Good morning everyone. I am Ramaram, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of CSE, GPLA College of Engineering and Technology. Today I am going to discuss about Python programming. That is the advantage of Python shell. Next, what variables? So the basic variables of Python program. So Python variables are nothing but some reserved memory locations to store the values. There are some By assigning different values or to a variables, you can create integer, decimal and characters onto those variables. So Python variables do not need to explicit declaration. In C language, you have to declare the variables before we use the variable. But in Python language, you need not to declare the variable. When we assign some value to a variable, it automatically gets created and it will be initialized to some values. So the declaration happens automatically when we assign some value to a variable. So the assignment operator is mainly used to create variables and assign values to the variables. When we are creating some variables, you have to follow some set of rules to create the variables. So the variable name should start compulsory with the alphabet or underscore, either uppercase or lowercase alphabet or underscore symbol. After that one, you have the variable may be followed by any number of letters, numbers and underscore characters. Remember that the variables are case sensitive. These are some valid variable names in Python programming. Okay. But last the two variable names are hyphen underscore underscore name underscore underscore that represents the constructor of the class. Okay. So the class name, whatever the class name is, the same name you have to use the constructor, but the constructor name should be underscore and preceded by underscore underscore and followed by underscore underscore. In order to represent the private variables of the class, we have to precede the variable by hyphen underscore underscore. So these are the some variables. First one is age is a integer variable, temp is a float variable, section is a character variable, C is a complex number variable and name is a string variable. So based on the type of value we assign, the variable type will be decided. Okay. So this is a simple example that demonstrates how to create different types of variables and how to print the variable values. Next, Python assignment. There are two different methods to assign the values to a variables. So Python allows multiple assignments on a single line. So A is equals to B is equals to C is equals to 1. So the same one value will be assigned to three different variables at a simultaneously. And we can assign multiple objects of different types to different values. So here we are creating A, B, C, three variables and we are assigning values integer and character data. So automatically these values will be stored. One will be assigned to B and two will be assigned to B and John will be assigned to C. These are some set of keywords that we use in Python programming language. There are some similarities between C and Python. We will find some set of common keywords which are there in the C and Java programming. Those will be identified here. Next, what is input and output functions? So input function is in order to read the data from the keyboard, we have to use input functions. Okay. These input function will read the data in the form of string. Okay. It will not read the data in the form of integer, character, float. Otherwise it will read the data only in the form of strings. Okay. So if you press any trailing slash and spaces, it automatically truncated. It will give only data. So in order to stop the data reading process, we have to press Ctrl C or Ctrl D. So A is equals to input. When the A is equals to input command statement is executed, the command prompt will wait, the terminal will wait to enter some data from the keyboard. When you press 42 and press the enter, the 42 value will be stored in the variable A. So in order to print the statement, we are using print A. It will display the value of A. Suppose if you want to display the prompt message before entering the data to the user, then you can display the prompt message using the input function also. So A is equals to input, enter A value. So enter a value Then the processor will execute that statement and waits until you press some data. After typing the data and if you press enter key, that the value will be assigned to variable. So we are printing a value, it is giving 42 value. So there are two methods, with prompt message and without prompt message. Based on your requirement, we use appropriate. So this is a simple example that demonstrates how to create different types of variables and how to print the input statement, print statement. So a is equals to 4, b is equals to 6, print a of a comma b. Here we print a comma b values separated by some space. If you want to make the space as one tab, then we have to use SCP variable. SCP is equals to /t. Okay. So in order to represent that one, we have to use a comma b separated by /t. Here we are creating two variables x comma y, enter an integer and enter another integer. So we enter some value for x, we enter some value for y. After typing those values, then those values will be stored in the x and y in the form of character. So here we are assigning z is equals to int x plus int y. So why you are doing this one is, when we read the data, that will be read in the form of string. So in order to perform the addition, we have to convert that into integer. That's why we are making int x plus int y. Okay. So x and y values will be added and the result will be stored in z. So in order to print that one, we are using print sum of x and y is z. Okay. Where you place the variable names, then those places will be replaced by the appropriate data values. So this is the first method to print the data on the output screen. So sum of x and y value. The another method is to print the data is, so print sum of within empty braces, and empty braces is empty braces, then double quotes close, format of x comma y comma z. So wherever you want to place some data, those places should be placed with empty braces. When we execute the program, the compiler with the interpreter automatically stores those empty braces with appropriate parameters of format. Okay, so that's why we will get output 23 and 12 is equals to 35. So the next another method is the same method that we use in the C language or C language. So sum of percentages and percentages is equals to percentages, double quotes close, percentage of x comma y comma z. So wherever the format specifiers are there, those values will be automatically replaced by x, y and z values. Next, indentation. So the indentation rules are most important in Python programming. Why? Because there are no brackets in Python. In order to create blocks of code in Java and C, we use opening and closing braces. But in Python language, there are no opening and closing braces in order to represent the block statements. Instead of that one, we use the indentation rule, that means tabs. Okay, the Java Python program strictly follows these rules in order to create the block statements. So this is the first example of indentation rules. If true colon, so we are starting the block of if. So the first we have to give one tab. So print true, else another block of else. So tab print. But in this example, the system will create error. If true, then we have to start the block of if statement, but we are not using the tab. Okay, so whatever the statement about statement is there, the same indentation we are writing the next statement of print if. So here it will give the compilation error that expected and intended block. So compulsory we have to place the indentation to make that statement to the if. Okay. Next here in this example, else, at the else place you will get the error. So why? Because after writing the else we have to represent the else statement block. So in order to represent else block statements, there should be some difference between else indentation and its else in this statement's indentations. Okay, compulsory at least one tab should be there in the else block. Okay, that is the problem. It is giving some syntax error. Here in this example also there is some problem. So print true 1, print true 2, those are related to if statement. So these statements are related to if, so those two statements should have the same indentation, otherwise the system will not consider those two statements. Next, so the else statement will not create any problem, it is correct. So this statement is exactly correct, even though if there are only one if statement, we may place only one tab or multiple tabs, there is no problem. But all the statements of that block should have the same indentation, same tab spaces, otherwise the system will generate a syntax error.